Hello everyone, and welcome. In our last episode, we traveled from base camp at the Matsu County Park and Campground and explored the historic Independence Mine Park in Palmer, where we observed tourists trying their luck panning for gold. Today, we will learn about native Alaskan culture and heritage as we visit an American cultural treasure, the Alaska Native Heritage Center. From Florida to Alaska, from the East Coast to the West Coast, join Jane and Steve celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, traveling across North America in the CoolNanaCoach, their 27-foot Freedom Elite Class C motorhome, as they visit the many beautiful points of interest in all 50 United States on their golden anniversary adventure. We've been base camped on the Old Glen Highway at the Matsu-Burr-Matanuska River Campground in Palmer, Alaska for the past several days, exploring the Matsu Valley and its surrounding areas. Palmer is only 40 miles from Anchorage, and today, Jane and I will be making our first of several trips to Anchorage. Our destination today is the Alaskan Native Heritage Center, just south of Fort Richardson Military Reservation on the northeast corner of the city. After breakfast, we head west on the Glen Highway and are greeted by lots of smoke from wildfires reportedly north of Fairbanks, some 325 miles north of us. The incredibly beautiful Chugach Mountains and the peaks of the northern boundary of the massive Chugach State Park are totally obscured from our view this morning. I'm told we would normally enjoy views of Mounts Eklutna, Gordon Leon, and the Twin Peaks, but as we draw closer to Reflection Lake, only a vivid outline of the mountain range and its jagged peaks are visible. We pass by an exit for the Palmer Hay Flats that piques our interest, and we will definitely come back in a day or so to check it out. But right now, we're motivated to proceed to the Heritage Center, hopefully to get an early start there and avoid any crowds. We exit the Glen Highway and follow the well-marked route to the Heritage Center, where, upon entering, we are greeted by a large sculpture which adorns the entrance. It was created in 1998 by John Hoover. It's titled Raven the Creator. According to many Alaska Native and American Indian legends, Raven is the creator. This sculpture depicts a large raven stealing the stars, sun, and moon. It has stars dangling from its beak and the sun and moon hanging from each wing. There's also a lot of symbolism in this piece. The human figures in the bird's claws represent icons used by the Russian Orthodox faith. Additionally, there is a face in the large raven's belly that's supposed to be Mother Earth. The face on the back of the raven's head is representative of many transformations the raven undergoes.
guys up. Are you guys Alaska residents?
No.
No? All right. Would you qualify as a senior?
I think so.
All right. No? All right, it'll be $25 to be there.
Yes, Alaskan people traditionally lived in interior Alaska, an expansive region that begins south of the Brooks Mountain Range and continues down to the Kenai Peninsula. From Juneau to Alaska to Nome and beyond, people in Alaska are often spotted wearing a colorful or patterned hooded garment with a big front pocket. This classic Alaskan attire is known as a kuspuk, or parker. Traditional clothing consisted of the parker, pants, and mittens made from caribou or seal skin, worn in 1 or 2 layers according to the season, and up to 4 layers of footwear. We enter the Hall of Cultures, where there are presentations and informational placards that exhibit the cultures, practices, and lifestyles of the different tribes in the various regions of Alaska. Gold miners, trappers, traders, missionaries, and government personnel who came to Alaska forced the Dina people to modify and adapt their lifestyles. The people were quick to adapt to the traders, who brought guns, calico, beads, wool blankets, and steel, which did make life easier. However, the diseases, the loss of land, and lack of understanding from the newcomers made this a heavy price to pay. The Alaskans made their clothing, footwear, cooking utensils, and tools, as well as hunting weapons, from the hides and bones of the animals they hunted, which of course provided them with food. A somewhat nomadic people who had to follow the seasons to survive, they traveled and covered an immense area. They truly lived off the land. The Yupik and Chupik people's connection to the Cosgriff, or men's house, served as a place of learning as well as the spiritual center for the community. Boys older than 5 were sent to eat and sleep in the men's house. It was here that the young boys learned what it meant to be a good provider by listening, observing, and then following the words of wisdom learned here. We were treated to a demonstration of native cultural dance and song. Dance is the heart of the Yupik spiritual and social life. Traditional dancing in the Cosgriff is a communal activity in Yupik tradition. Typically, the men are in the front, kneeling, and the women stand in the back. The drummers are in the very back of the group. Inuit dancing of the ancestors was banned by Christian missionaries in the late 19th century, who claimed that the dance was primitive idolatry. After a century, festival is a cultural celebration that started in the mid-1980s with a goal to gather outlying village Inuit dancers to share their music and dances. There are now many dance groups who perform Inuit dances in Alaska. Most popular activity in the Yupik-speaking Inuit area is rediscovered Yupik dancing. Back in the Hall of Culture, where there are also tables of cultural keepsake and souvenirs for purchase. This house post represents respect for family. In the Haida culture, eagles must marry ravens to keep the balance between clans. The hummingbird, which is hiding in the eagle's ear, often falls under either clan and can represent the child. On this particular house post, the eagle, raven are demonstrating the respect they have towards each other by communicating effectively. The Unangoks have over 10,000 years of rich history and heritage in this region, which is amongst the longest inhabited native lands in North America. When Russian settlements of the Aleutian Islands brought about genocide and cultural revision, Unangan tribes were the hardest hit. War forced the relocation of thousands of Unangan, threatened cultural preservation, and destroyed sacred island lands with environmental toxins. However, the Unangan ability to adapt honed throughout the generations has resulted in a strong and resilient Aleutian Islands communities today. We would really appreciate you hitting that like button and also share this video with your friends. And when you subscribe, you'll be notified in advance as our latest video is released. The Unangoks and the Sukpiak lived a maritime existence and depended upon the sea for their survival. In the 18th century, Russians came to the Alutiiq land and the population was forever changed. Today, the Russian influence on their way of life remains, and the Russian Orthodox Church plays a large part in their lives. The Inuits hunted whales from kayaks armed with poison-tipped spears. They offered the dead whale fresh water before harvesting it for food. Everyone smeared the fat and blood on themselves to show gratitude and to honor the whale for its sacrifice. Alaska's native people who hunt whales look upon this great sea mammal as that which not only binds them to the land and the sea, but also binds them together as a people. The whale is an integral part of their worldview and lifestyle. As their culture reveres the whale for the gift of life it helps provide, a scenic view across the lake of the Cultural Heritage Center is framed with whalebone. Here we enter a subterranean entrance to a traditional Chupik Nina. The Yupik are a group of indigenous or aboriginal peoples of western, southwestern, and south central Alaska and the Russian Far East. They are related to the Inuit. Their peoples include the Supiaq of the Alaska Peninsula and coastal and island areas of south central Alaska. A staff member explains the hide, tanning, and stretching process used to make a Chupik drumhead. You might recall, we saw such a drum being used earlier in this video. And here is a hunting harpoon. The Yupik and Chupik people homeland lies along a low-lying delta covered by numerous lakes and streams where three major rivers, the Yukon, Kuskokwim, and Nushagak, flow out to the Bering Sea. The land is mainly treeless tundra with mountains and hills scattered throughout, with Nunavik and Nelson Island situated to the west. Along the coast, the people mainly subsisted on marine mammals, fish, and other resources provided by the ocean, as well as berries and plants. Inland, they depended on moose and caribou, salmon, and freshwater fish for sustenance. Their lives were dictated by seasonal cycles. They migrated closer to the ocean in spring to hunt sea mammals, and then relocated to summer fish camps along rivers to harvest the salmon. In the fall, they traveled inland to trap fur mammals and catch freshwater fish. During the cold winter months, they settled in winter villages where they took part in ceremonies which included dancing, singing, and feasting to honor their way of life. Here we see a traditional Cosgriff. The Cosgriff served both as the men's house and the community center. Boys old enough to leave their mothers joined male relatives in the Cosgriff, where together they worked, ate, bathed, and slept. The older males taught the younger ones how to be Yupik or Chupik men. Mothers and wives brought them food and joined them in the evening for singing, dancing, and festive events. Twice as large as the winter houses in which women and girls lived, the Cosgriff nevertheless shared the same architectural features, a wooden post and beam structure made of driftwood and covered with grass and sod. The Cosgriff was the place where the boys, men, and the elders had their formal education about survival and all the other skills and knowledge a man should know about Yupik and Chupik society. Seen here is a traditional ina, where the women lived and where the cooking and child rearing was done. Semi-subterranean structures with underground tunnels for entrances were common, particularly in the more northern communities. Yupik and Chupik Alaska Native peoples are traditionally from southwest Alaska, including the Yukon, Kuskokwim Delta, and Bristol Bay area. The Yupik and Chupik rely on a subsistence lifestyle of hunting, fishing, and gathering local foods. They are known for their mask making, grass baskets, and dance fans, which are all popular and beautiful souvenirs from trips to Alaska. Like much of Alaska, these communities are spread across a vast region. To this day, many can only be flown or traveled to by boat as weather permits. Storytelling through dance and oral tradition celebrates everyday activities and special events in the life of the community.
Mainly for regalia. As far as I know, the river
The 26-acre Alaska Native Heritage Center showcases all 11 of the state's major Alaska Native cultures. Visitors can learn about Alaska Native traditions from the past and present through the interactive displays, exhibits, events, films, and the 6 authentic Alaska Native housing sites situated around a scenic lake. The Alaska Native Heritage Center makes a great starting point for your cultural visit to Alaska.
Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you. Want to see more? Check us out on Instagram on our Golden Anniversary Adventure page.